Okay, guys, quickly, this is the next topic we will need to know. Even if you're not taught, you will sit in exam. Okay, very important. When you say the psychometric properties of an instrument, what are we talking about? I'm taking this very important, and I want to give it a single video so you take your time to listen to it, because you will be expecting it in your exams. I don't know, no matter the school you are listening from, you understand that we are doing these psychological instruments and test constructions. There is no way you are not talking about psychometric properties of an instrument. So when are we, what are we saying when we talk about psychometric properties of an instrument? We are talking about the characteristics of that instrument or the measure, that instrument or the scale, that characteristic that makes it the suitable or a good measure of a particular construct. If I say I want to measure personality, what makes Essence Personality Questionnaire a suitable instrument to measure a person's personality? That is when we're talking about psychometric properties of that instrument. There are key features. There are things you look out for. These are, number one is the reliability. The reliability of that instrument must be high. That's when we're talking about the Kronbach alpha. It must be high. It must be good. And you know how we ascertain the reliability of an instrument through test retest, inter-rater, internal consistency, all of those things, right? Then we look at their validity also. Is it measuring what it purports to measure? A personality instrument should not go and measure my attitude, but should be able to measure how, to what extent, by face, by content, by criteria. You know, we talk about criterion validities, content validity, face validity, all of those things. At face value, is this really what it's saying is measuring? At content, is he really comprehensively capturing individual personality? These are things we look out for in psychometric properties of an instrument. The validity aspect, please, is very important. We know what I'm talking about and don't take it lightly. The third one is detection of differences. An instrument should be able to differentiate from let's say obsessive compulsive disorder from obsessive compulsive personality disorder. That instrument must be a sensitive one. That is when you say the psychometric properties of that instrument is very high. Then the standardization, the process through which it was normed. When we say norming, we're going to discuss that topic because another topic you'll be expecting in your quests. Let me not use the word in your exam now, right? Okay, so but you should see it in your exams for UNN students, right? So standardization, the process it was validated, or I'm using the word validated, developed, the scoring format, the response format, the interpretation format, the norming, to which population was this instrument normed, right? If we used a Spanish population, like Spanish persons, right? We shouldn't expect that immediately. We should just administer it on University of Nigerian students. No, right? You must be able to do something we're talking about later, right? And that is where we're not talking about the factors that affect the psychometric properties of an instrument, or you say the factors that affect the reliability and validity of any instrument, right? It's very important, right? Because there's a need. You run a pilot study. Like one of my instruments I used during my time was La Greca and Lopez, the social anxiety scale for adolescents. You know, this instrument, I cannot administer it on adults or elderlies, right? Just adolescents. and it was developed using Spanish populations. You don't expect me to just administer it on University of Nigeria, or let's say from soccer environments, the adolescents in schools there, right? You will have problems. That's why you see some instruments, one of my instruments you hear, sir, please, what is the meaning of I don't fit in? Right? This is my interpersonal belief scale by Body Network 2012, right? So you see that there is a need to run a pilot study. Meanwhile, that's not the cause for this. We have understood when we say what is the psychometric properties of instrument and what are to be considered in it. Now, what are the factors that affect the reliability and validity of an instrument? This includes the test length, the length of the instrument. Oftentimes, we understand that the fewer, the less valid and reliable. The larger or the longer items you have, the more valid it could be. So the test length also affects the reliability and the validity, or the psychometric properties. Again, we're having the sample size, right? The sample size, another characteristic of that your sample, right? The age level, like I explained before, and homogeneous population, heterogeneous population. Oftentimes, to norm an instrument using heterogeneous population is better, because if you focus on people like I said, okay, let's say the Americans or the persons in UK where they practice individualistic culture, come on, it will be hard to also have it working for persons in collectivistic culture. So having a heterogeneous population will be better, and these are things that affect some of the sample size and the characteristics of that sample. If you use few numbers, they will give you what you want, but it will be less valid. If you use larger number, it will be more valid. Whatever it will be like the voice of the gods. We say the voice of the people is the voice of the gods. It's not the voice of the few, but the voice of the people, right? At least a larger number. That is sample size, and not only larger number, not homogeneous number of large people, but preferably heterogeneous enhances the psychometric properties of the instrument. Yes, and then another problem that affects the reliability and validity is the poor operationalization. When you have poor operationalization of those instruments, you are not able to operationalize your behavior of interest, your construct. You are talking about personality is capturing both attitude. You are talking about psychopathic deviate. You are seeing something that looks like paranoia in it. There is a need to operationalize what you're about to measure, and it should be very specific and well carved out. Other things include the item bias, and when I mean item bias, those items that are not culture sensitive. Yeah, if you have gone through MMPI, you understand there are words in there that you might reach 100 years you wouldn't have heard till you die, right? I say in Nigeria. Yeah, so that is something that could be good with them there, but we are not that familiar with those words, right? So item bias is one of the things that can affect it. Then others include the measurement error. The interpreter or the person that want to assess that may have problems in the measurement, which could be as a result of many things. Yeah. Then we have, like I said before, cultural factors. One of my students worked on transactional sex. These are not, it has a questionnaire, but these are not the kind of topics that are openly and easily discussed, especially in our environment and our culture, right? In respect to our values, right? So, and other environmental factors. What of instruments that are, environmental factor is very important. What of when you are administering your instrument in a place, noise, and other things, right? The language barrier, being able to translate it. For example, MMPI is already over 150 languages. Yeah, that's a strong grade A instrument. Now, language barrier also can affect the validity and reliability of an instrument. Yeah, participant bias, their willingness to open up or trying to give you reactivity, right? Then the way the instrument is developed also, I've talked about that. So this is the psychometric properties, and you are seeing it in exam and you are asked, talk about the psychometric properties of an instrument. You are expected to tell us via those items I talked about, as a matter of fact, and if necessary, you can also tell us those factors that can affect the psychometric properties of an instrument. And please do like, share, and subscribe, and see you in the next video.